Alright, so I'm just gonna explain that this shit is terrifying when you have a premeditated murder that you're bringing up, a plot against you. It's incredibly challenging to deal with your concerns when they're taken as mental health issues rather than real life dangers or criminal threats or criminal intents that have been taken over your life. And mind you, these are long, long standings of crimes against me. These have been aimed at taking my life. So I have to be able to be withdrawn from what I feel is an attack on me and my character, being that I know my worth is a lot more worth than what I'm being pushed into or being led onto based on the hack and the manipulation of my life. So I'm going to help here to help others evaluate the situation here in life experiences in general and to be hard and not dismissed because it's to demonstrate that your situation involves the potential crime, the very potential crime and behavior, rather than simply deflecting the circumstances as if it's just a psychological matter. So you have to present your situation logically and calmly and keep your cool. During the evaluation, it would be important to remain calm and collected if you're going to get this story heard to where it's not a psychological issue, rather it's a criminal intent. But the fact of the matter is that with where these things have placed me prior in my life, I'm a little bit irritated with it because psychiatrists are trained to assess behavior, and emotional outbursts might be interpreted as instability, even if you're expressing genuine frustrations here. And this is where it can get sticky. You have to avoid overgeneralizations, stick to specific incidences, avoiding making statements that could be seen as exaggerated or taken or anything that can be taken out of context, because I oftentimes feel like you're coming out with a serious situation and instead of it being taken for the context in which it is, it's taken into context in which it isn't. You're taking you out of context, and they're taking you and moving the goalposts around for what their gains are or what their initial motive is per se. Because I believe wholeheartedly that these people can have a motive over you anyway, regardless if you have anything to do about it or not. Do you see what I'm saying? So stick to your statements. For an example, rather than saying anything like, "Oh my God, it just," or anything, "It seems like they're all out to get me," or blah blah blah. That's not anything that's over exaggerated is not going to be taken into consideration. And the fact of the matter is that everybody isn't out to get you. The fact of the matter is that you notice some specific behaviors from certain people that seemed very coercive, coordinated, and harmful, and actually led you into patterns of mistrust and abuse, meant to keep that clout over your mind. So you have to organize your documentation as evidence. And this is really hard coming from a person that has been poisoned up. It's really hard to get to the brass taxes. So me coming out forward with something is me coming out forward with something that is absolutely paramount to me. It's hard enough for me to do this in the first place, let alone have people deflecting what I'm actually saying and not taking the context for what it is, and instead helping the people to take things out of context. So prepare a detailed timeline, bring written documentation or a timeline of specific events where you believe it's criminal activity that occurred. List the exact dates, what had happened, and why you believe it was a targeted action. This information is a factual and straightforward as evidence can be made as possible right there. And the fact of the matter is I was working on that in my journal in a story, and that story disappeared, along with them able to come and do whatever the fuck happened to me after that. I mean, everything was wrong. Everything. The jurisdiction of the system didn't have right to tap on my door, saying that they're going to single me out. They're trying to get me alone. That's what was being suggested to me. And then after that, I ended up in a hold. And you guys don't want to even think like what was happening in there was real. It is very real. Regardless, people want to deflect what the situation is or the haughtiness of the crime. These actions are straightforward as possible coming out of my lips. So I don't think that I don't think it's fair for law enforcement to deflect the issue into a mental health crisis when it is very much a legality issue. You see what I'm saying? It's not a mental health issue. It's very much a crime. And so focus and observe facts. Include medical records, unusual financial transactions, or changes in your personal circumstances that cause for financial ruin. Focus on things that can be verifiable, such as evidence of sudden weight loss, physical symptoms, or any abnormalities that are not easily explained. And mind you, these things aren't going to be easy to explain if you're in a situation of arsenic poisoning or any other kind of whatever is going on with you. But the fact of the matter is that they have every intent to ruin my life. And the reason I say that they have every intent to ruin my life is because I came to found out about who he was, and it was really, really difficult to do so. So I want to explain how to keep your emotions separate from the facts. Psychiatrists will be more receptive to facts than the emotions from the facts, and oftentimes it's hard. It's hard in this because a lot of what you're essentially bringing out is going to sound like emotional shrapnel in that way that's taken a toll to separate the factual information already as it stands within you, because it's hard standing to be able to present the case, being that the experiences that the experience is that your mind wasn't able to reason through things, and so it's really hard to just even now be able to present that to them, and then it's just being taken as if you have something wrong with you. And so I want to explain my awareness of the situation, or you're going to want to explain the awareness of your situation, acknowledging the stress, but emphasizing the reasoning behind the stressors. You can explain that the situation is distressing, but you have to manage your thoughts clearly and with reason and sound mind. For an example, I understand that the situation can be stressful for anyone, but I have remained logical and aware of the patterns that have constituted between these events in my life. And it makes complete sense to me how a person would deflect from that, being that they're being called out on. Like I was actually saying, you think I'm going to allow you to get away with murdering me. Murdering me. These are serious crimes, so don't allow these things to over stress you because someone's not able to see. You know what I mean? Describe your logical deductions. Explain how you arrived at your conclusions as best as you can, step by step. For an example, you noticed, XYZ happening, and it led to something else, and this pattern emerged, and here's why I believe that it's a coincidence. And mind you, there's many of these, so it's really hard to actually sit down and write this stuff, you guys, because I don't have I have advocates, but I don't have enough advocates. I have supporters, but I don't have enough supporters out here to actually be able to place a real a real pathway to be able to change these things in my life. So that's what I'm after, and in that, if my content supports your own reasoning, please help me share this content so that it can help me and help others be able to present our cases to places in given circumstances to the best of our ability, even though we feel that, or even though most times we feel that they're not there to try and discover a criminal intent, rather there to also deflect from the actual abilities of these criminal syndicates, if you will, or people that are willing to move in this way. So avoid confrontation at all costs and avoid speculation at all costs. Stick to the facts as best as your ability is, and you know your truth. So even if you can't get their graces for your own truth to be able to be spoken, just know that in your heart of hearts that you know what the truth is. You know that you're not trying to become an article or an obituary. You have a legitimate plan to put together a real formidable mission. You always have. The fact of the matter is that the conglomerates in the background, censorship and all of that stuff, is not trying to allow you to that thing, because your idea, or I should say the idea I have, would crush Facebook. It would crush a lot of things out there like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's a fucking nutcracker. So I want to bring out my nutcracker and I want to crack some nuts.